What's up, people? It's Chris here to break down a couple fights going down this weekend, one on HBO, one on Showtime. Incidentally enough, featuring two of my five current favorite fighters in the sport. And once I unveil who they are, which is pretty self-explanatory, you could probably guess or figure out fairly easily who the other three would be just based on the styles. That said, we're going to start off with the HBO card. Alfredo Angulo, El Perro, taking on James Kirkland. Highly anticipated bout, kind of came out of nowhere because Angulo was supposed to fight Martirosyan, Vanis, but for some reason, scared, I don't know, maybe scared of dogs. Martirosyan did not take the fight. Instead, he fought former Angulo victim this past weekend, Richard Gutierrez. But yeah, man, the thing is, when these guys first emerged on the scene, they were both represented by Gary Shaw. So people would watch them fight and be like, man, these are some badass fighters. Wouldn't mind seeing them go square off one day, but no one really thought it was going to happen just because they're both under the Gary Shaw banner. Now that's not the case anymore. Another thing, though, who would have thought back then that both these guys would have missed like a year of fighting, at least for the reasons that they did? Maybe for injury or contract disputes, which was somewhat Angulo's case, but more so visa issues, or I don't really know the full extent just yet. And with Kirkland, of course, he did a bid for weapons possession. So either way, though, it's good to see that they're back and they're not looking to duck any challenges. Even Kirkland coming off that first round loss to Ishida, where he got stopped, you would think he would want to avoid a guy with the style and power of Angulo, but that's not the case. Plus, the fight's going down in Mexico, so I'm not a big James Kirkland fan, but I got to give the man his credit for being willing to go up against Angulo in Mexico, no less. And, it's not a short notice fight, but I don't know if he had a full camp necessarily. All right, as for the fight itself, I'm a big Angulo fan, so maybe my prediction is going to be a little bit biased, but I got to go with El Perro, mostly just because of the Ishida fight with Kirkland. If that fight had not happened or ended the way it did, I honestly would have said this is a 50-50 fight. I would have a very hard time predicting it. And it still very well may be. How do you say that? But no, I got to favor Angulo because although I've seen Angulo hurt before in fights, against Richard Gutierrez, he might have got tagged against Joe Julio, Kermit Cintron, he's never been stopped. He's been able to recuperate fairly quickly and just, keep pressing forward like he does with that aggressive pressuring style of his. Kirkland, on the other hand, we saw him get dropped and stopped in Ishida. Now, people have tried to make different excuses and say why that happened, himself included, but I don't care what the excuse is. If your chin failed you, then that's a flaw you have. And the thing with Kirkland, I know he's back training with Ann Wolf, it's going to be better for him. Ann Wolf may be a better trainer for him as being able to motivate him, push him in the gym. If you've seen the sparring they do, where he's beating the hell out of these sparring partners, it's kind of, I don't know. I don't know. My opinion of that, I think, goes a little overboard there. They do, but whatever gets them going. But anyways, she may be better for him for that. But as far as technically, I'm not so for sure that Ann Wolf is quite the person that's going to help fix the flaws that he has in his game. Most notably, just being wide open. He's kind of fights squared up, and he's easy to counter. And I think that's going to be the case here. Angulo, he's no Ivan Calderon when it comes to skills in there, but he doesn't need to be. If he was, I probably wouldn't like watching him as much anyway. Let's be honest. He's going to go in there and attack. He's going to march forward. He's going to throw gang punches. He's going to throw gang combinations, and Kirkland's going to meet him in the middle, and this is going to probably come down to, honestly, not only who lands first, but who can take the better shot. Angulo's easy to hit just as well, and Kirkland probably has more power of the two. So, obviously, I will not be surprised if Kirkland's able to stun Angulo, but he may get a little wild in that moment and end up getting caught in a counter, dropping himself. So, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if both guys get dropped in this fight. But I think that Angulo will have a better chance of being able to recover from being hurt, as we've seen in the past, than James Kirkland. Also, Angulo, I think, well, actually, both these guys go to the body fairly well. I wouldn't say it's like one of their mainstays, but they've done it with, success in the past. Kirkland's much more ripping, just hooks to the body, while Angulo kind of goes there in combinations to break you down over the long haul. But yeah, I'm going to favor Angulo for the reasons I stated. Plus, the fight's in Mexico, I think that benefits him. I don't think it's going to a decision. If it goes to a decision, that's the only thing about this fight that will surprise me. Any other result, I will not be surprised by it because of the sport that we're watching. I guess maybe if it's a close fight and Kirkland got the decision in Mexico, that'd be equally surprising to me, but that ain't going to happen because there's no way this fight's going to the final bell, in my opinion. So I'm going with Alfredo Angulo by TKO, round 6 or under. Next up on Showtime, we got IBF Super Middleweight Champion Lucian Bute defending his title against Glen the Road Warrior Johnson. Once again, living up to his moniker of the Road Warrior, as this fight's taking place in Quebec, which, is good because the fighters are going to get paid more. And I've said time and time again with the fights in Canada as well as fights overseas in Europe, great atmospheres, great fans. It makes for a better environment and it makes for a better viewing experience for the fans at home and probably in attendance, obviously. But yeah. As for the fight itself, man, you know what? Lucian Bute, now don't get me wrong, Glen Johnson, another one of my favorite fighters in the sport. I love the guy's style. I love his attitude, and that he's willing to fight anybody. And his personality. The guy is just one of the best dudes in the sport. If you don't like Glen Johnson, yeah, I don't know what your problem is. You can't, even if you're not a fan of him, there's no way you can dislike Glen Johnson. Let's just say that. Unless you're a Roy Jones fan. But yeah, as for the fight itself, Bute's coming off a beautiful KO over John Paul Mendy. Probably one of the best knockouts this year, but whatever. And Glen Johnson's coming off a majority decision loss to Carl Froch, called Cobra Froch, in the Super 6 Showtime tournament, World Boxing Classic. Actually, I thought that Froch deserved a unanimous decision, but, it's neither here nor there. Froch deservedly got the win. But you know what? Glen's 42, and I do think that age is catching up with him. I do think he gave a good account of himself in the Carl Froch fight, but I think a younger Glen Johnson may have made it even more competitive, if not have been able to pull out a victory. Don't get me wrong, I don't think by any means he's shot, but I just think he's slowing down a little bit. He's not able to track down guys just as much as he was able to in the past, not able to really cut the ring off as much as he had to. He's having to chase more. He's getting hit a lot. He always gets hit a lot, and he throws a lot of punches as well. That's his style. It hasn't really changed much. But I don't know. He just doesn't. I don't think he takes punches as well as he used to. I don't know if that'll be an issue here in this fight or not. But I think he can get hurt a little bit more easier than he has in the past, or at least backed up and stopped in his track. And his work rate still remains high. But like I said, it's just harder for him to track guys down and really corner them, which kind of halts his momentum in a fight. And Bute, he's not really gonna. He's gonna probably look at what Froch did. But Bute, he's not a guy that's going to stand there and go toe-to-toe with him anyway. He's a guy that's going to use his movement, his jab, and, his counters to kind of pick Glen apart, or at least try to. I mean, I don't think he's going to be able to, hurt him and drop him like he did Librado Andrade in the rematch, which sucked for me as an Andrade fan, but whatever. But, yeah, I think that this fight, you got to favor Bute, even if you're not a fan, which I'm not a fan, Bute, he didn't get in the Super 6. Then, Kessler dropped out, and they were talking about on Showtime, he was commentating a Kessler fight, or Kessler was commentating one of his fights. I don't recall what it was exactly. They were saying, Kessler Bute is going to happen next. Well, so much for that fight, right? Regardless of the circumstances, I haven't even heard talks about that fight since that night between the camps. So, I don't know. I just like to see Bute. Now, no disrespect, though. I mean, I'm a big Glen Johnson fan, like I said. I think he's still got a place in the sport. But I don't know if he necessarily deserves to be fighting for this title. And I think Bute should be trying to fight some of the other guys in the division, regardless of what people think about him. What about Andre Durrell? He's out there. Kessler's out there. So there's other guys out there. Not a whole lot. Obviously you've got to wait for Ward Froch to see who he should really fight, the winner of that. But, who knows if that's even going to happen, considering he's not fighting these other guys in the tournament aside from Glen Johnson now. But, yeah, I don't know. I'd like to see Bute step up his competition. He's got impressive wins. But I don't know if his resume is necessarily the best as far as the top guys in that division, especially compared to, look at Lucian Bute's resume and look at Carl Froch's resume. Who do you think is who deserves to be higher in that division, ranked higher in that division? I definitely say the Cobra. Anyways, but yeah, I expect Bute to just outbox Glen. Glen's a hard out, so I don't think he's going to be knocked out or stopped. I think it'll go to decision, and I think Bute's not going to win easily. I don't think Glen Johnson or anyone ever beats this man easily. But I do see Bute winning this fight by a decisive decision. So I'll go with Lucian Bute by unanimous decision. But I hope Glen Johnson does well. I don't think he's going to pull the upset. But I hope he makes a good account of himself because, like I said, I'm a big fan. Got a lot of respect for the guy. And, I just like to watch him fight. All right, that's it for now. I want to hear you guys' thoughts on both these fights. Who do you favor and why? How do you see the Angulo-Kirkland fight playing out? And, you know, any thoughts on Lucian Bute? You know, disagree or agree with what I said? You know, just want to hear people's thoughts on him. And that's it for now, pretty much. Link to sciencescience.com in the information part of the video as always, and link to my Twitter. If you're on Twitter and you feel like holler at me on there. Anyways, that's it for now. Till next time, guys. I'm out.